And let's go back home. And we will pickle a winter canola. Two pickled winter canola. I'm going to take a bite of my food. Seeing my model eat is so funny, because it looks like I'm just full on chomping with my mouth open. I'm not. My model doesn't like my face shape. Doesn't understand. I changed it so that the mouth would react more when I speak, because it was kind of just not opening or closing at all. But because I did that, now if I move my mouth even slightly, it just opens up real wide. So when I'm chewing, it thinks that my mouth is open. Taking big old bites. Exactly like that. Exactly like that, Alex. Even when I was blowing my nose earlier, because the tissue was in front of my face, it was puffing out my cheeks and stuff. You'd think it would just not react since it can't see my face, but it was doing weird stuff. So you've got a decent amount of hours in this, still enjoying it and would recommend it? Minus the bugs like the lady in her house. Honestly, I'm pretty bored with it. I haven't really felt much motivation to keep playing. I just kind of feel like there's no goal. I don't have really a goal to keep me motivated. I'm kind of just doing stuff. Like, yeah, I could make money and decorate my house, but like I already bought a whole, like a whole decorated house area already, like a layout that was already made. And like, yes, it looks nice, but do I like it? I don't know. Yeah, I can go back to Fields of Mystria. I'm trying to wait on Fields of Mystria. Because I want to start over when the full release comes out. But yeah, I definitely could go back to Fields of Mystria. And I want to go back, and like for that I want to decorate my house and my farm, and I want to collect all the different animals and finish the museum and everything. Whereas with this, I kind of don't care. Like, I don't think there's a museum to donate to. I know you can donate fish to like the aquarium, but it's just one big aquarium tank wall. Like it's just one big tank. It's not like a cool aquarium to walk through. What about a Stardew run? I don't know. I only tried Stardew many years ago. And I remember, I don't know if this was true or not, but people said that if you didn't finish the, it's not the museum, what do they call it in Stardew? The center, something center. If you didn't finish that fast enough, you would, yeah, the community center, the game would end. I don't remember, I don't know if that was true or what, but that's what I remember hearing about it back when I was playing it, and I was like, that's too overwhelming. But I didn't like the characters in Stardew. I kind of felt like overall Stardew was just kind of depressing. I didn't feel happiness from it. I felt sadness. But also, I didn't play it for long. I only played it for a few hours. I would say less than 10 hours, probably. And it's been many years. I know it has changed quite a lot since then. I think I tried it when it first was like coming out. I feel like I would have to use mods to make it enjoyable for me. I guess maybe playing it with someone would be more fun. And that's kind of the appeal it would have, maybe, but I don't know, I'm just not, I've never been interested in Stardew. Definitely a dark tone, and the no jumping and slow walking compared to Fields of Mystria is a downgrade. Yeah, that's the thing, is I feel like Fields of Mystria is the Stardew for me. It's the one that I want to play. But I'm just trying not to ruin it for myself by playing it too much in early access. Obviously, I've already played a lot. A lot. Definitely over 100 hours, I think, or close to 100 hours. I just don't want to be burnt out by the time it actually comes out, you know? Alright, where is the door out of here? Hello, you're not the exit. And like Clair Obscure right now, I'm kind of stuck. I'm kind of stuck on a boss. I'll probably just have to keep trying to fight that boss over and over off stream, and then once I'm finally close to beating him, start stream. I'm kind of stuck. I was getting a little frustrated last time. I took over 6-month break on Fields of Mystery after 80 hours and then got back to it. It's kind of what I'm doing. But I really like Fields of Mystria. And it's not perfect either, you know, but I feel like it's a really good pixel farming sim to the point where even with all these other games that are coming out, I'm kind of like, do I really want to buy that when I know? Look at all these maps. They just waste so much space. Do I really want to buy another pixel farming sim when I know that I love Fields of Mystria, right? And I feel like that's how a lot of Stardew players feel about Fields of Mystria, is that why would I buy that when I have Stardew? So I understand where they're coming from. But I don't know. Is this pickled yet? It's valid, but if you don't really want to play this, Starsand, what do you want to play? That's the problem, Alex. I haven't been wanting to play anything, really. I've kind of not been playing anything offline. I'll open up a game and then be like, I don't want to play this.
Good day.
Or I'll just open it and sit there and not really play it, you know? And that's why I was excited to try the couple new ones that we've done recently. New for me, like Panko Park and My Party Needs an Alchemist. I don't remember what else we've done, but look, she's outside. I actually didn't fail that quest for Ginger.
Hello.
I got it to her with 10 seconds to spare. I really wish that I was recording, but she comes outside at night. In the evening time, she comes outside. She can't handle the sunlight.
So soon. Take care.
And what was my other... Oh, I didn't grab one. I only did one daily. I want to buy new games. I want to buy new games, but I don't want to be disappointed by those games. And I just feel like I'm gonna be disappointed by most games. Like, I'm still really excited for Petite Planet, but I'm also really worried about how that's gonna go. Because we already know from experience that I am willing to spend a lot of money for cute clothes. We've learned this. And I already knew this in my soul. But, so I'm worried about all these like gacha games and live service games. I don't think we've learned this. I'm worried with all these games coming out that I won't be able to afford them and I won't be able to enjoy them the way that I want to enjoy them, which would be spending a lot of money on them. But like, I just fixed my car, my job is not going well, so it's not a good time for me to be playing gacha games and live service games. So I feel no joy from playing games right now. Guess is the long and the short of it. Who the heck are you, dude? Who's this dude holding out his phone?
Hey there.
Thank you for the hug, Alex. Honestly, I haven't even known what to stream either. I don't know what to play on my own, and I don't know what to stream. Because nothing feels fun. Nothing feels enjoyable, really. I've been thinking about I end up just like scrolling YouTube for the majority of my free time. You can paint your apartment and I'd hang out. I've been thinking about stuff like that. I was thinking like just a watch along where like we just watch the random stuff on my YouTube recommended on stream. 'Cause like that's what I would be doing if I wasn't streaming, is just sitting here going through whatever pops up. I don't know. I don't know. I do have some crafts that we could do. I have shrinky dinks that we could make. I have to set up the whole hand cam system and everything. Do it, I'll hang out when I can. I usually play something or paint/color while hanging out anyways. I feel I want I don't want to be a slop streamer. I'd like to have a plan, but at the same time, I'm just out of ideas. And I also still want to stream. I like hanging out. But like, maybe, I don't know, maybe playing video games on stream isn't the thing for me, you know? Maybe I should be a crafter. I don't know. I also want to get a new model still. Even though when I talked about it, everyone was like, I like your model. I don't know. I kind of still want to get a new one. Staring at myself right now. I don't know if I would do like just I just think variety streamer. I go through phases of gaming, reading, coloring, and flip between them. Can't really help with the streaming aspect. Maybe a question for Min or Dolly. I think it's a question I have to ask myself. It's a question I had to figure out in my soul. I don't know. I have a Zen garden litter box that I could show on stream. I'd have to set it up, my camera and everything, and also get the plate of crumbs off of my desk. I don't know. I have ideas for a new model. I need to narrow down my ideas. I have too many. I need to get just one idea instead of 5. It would be basically the same. The base would be the same, but different clothes, different hair, face would be remade. It would be a new model, but it would be similar, just better. More detail, better rigging. No offense to my rigger, I appreciate you for everything you did and for the price. It was very affordable. But I want something else. The same way that I want to spend a bunch of money on clothes in a game, I want to spend a bunch of money in clothes on my VTuber. I think you gotta figure out the stream thing before you get a new model. Listen. We don't always do things in the right order around here. But you're right. There would be no point getting a new model if I don't even enjoy streaming with it, right? I get that. I understand. I know logically. But still. Plus, it takes months to get a new model. So it could be worked on in the background while I'm figuring out streaming. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Let me switch the category. Let's see what's happening on YouTube. I'm also worried that I won't have any interesting commentary. You know, like again, I don't just want to be a slop streamer, but also What if I am just a slop person? Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam. Starsand Island vanished from Steam overnight? What? I was just playing it. Starsand Island. The DLC is there. I don't see the game, but maybe that's because I already... No, I'm not hiding items that are in my library. I see the DLC that I have. Oh, and there's free DLC. Well, just give me that. Give me that. Download. It might be crashing. I might have just... Oh, it's opening the game. Downloading the DLC made the game open. Learning with Aster, let's go. Well, I have to exit the game because it opened itself again. It's weird. Okay, let me just grab this. Grab this free DLC here before I continue. But interesting, I don't see the actual game on the store. Important announcement. Game content adjustment. Dear Islanders, due to an oversight during the planning phase, certain core visual elements from a classic title were used without proper authorization within our minigame section. We sincerely apologize for this mistake. To address this immediately, we have taken the following emergency measures. Steam Store status. Starsand Island Steam Store page has been temporarily delisted. We've already submitted a new game build with the unauthorized content removed to Steam for review. Once the review is complete, the game will be available for purchase and download again. Compensation. To express our deepest regrets, we will be providing the Shining Star outfit to all Islanders. This will be released as a free DLC within the next 7 business days. This announcement was posted 2 days ago. Data in progress. Once the new build is approved, you can simply update the game to continue your journey. While the unauthorized content will be removed, all of your previous game progress, save files, and in-game assets will be fully preserved. You do not need to worry about losing your data. Internal improvement. We have already begun strengthening our internal review and auditing processes to ensure that such an incident never occurs again. Lastly, we sincerely apologize to all Islanders for any inconveniences may cause. Thank you for your continued patience or whatever. So, certain core visual elements from a classic title were used without proper authorization. So what I'm understanding from this announcement is that they basically stole another game's visual elements for the minigames. I've never even played the minigames. I've seen other people do it. It's at the arcade. So it sounds to me like... I wonder what game it was. I know they have Snake. I think they might have Tetris. I don't know for sure because I didn't play them. But that is interesting. So I'm guessing that's what that video is about that I just saw. Let me see if I still have this page set up. I do.
Starsand Islands.
Oh, hold on there. I normally do theater mode. Checking what's on screen here. Gotta have those in the corners. My mic is my normal mic. Let me see.
It's early access launch.
Okay, so it does show up. All right. Are we ready for a watch along? Starsand Island vanished from Steam overnight. Why? This is by Fleurs. And I'm assuming that it's exactly what the announcement that we just read. So let's see what they had to say about it. And I am going to block this much of the screen the whole time.
Starsand Island's early access
Can you hear
launch
it?
didn't exactly get off to a smooth start. It was plagued with one problem after another, from bots posting fake reviews on Steam, Kickstarter backers not receiving their keys, and questions over diversity and anti-cheat software. After nearly 2 months since the game first launched, imagine my surprise this morning when I awoke to check my notifications and controversy has hit the game yet again. So today I'm going to take a look at the latest news and see why exactly the developers have had to remove the game from the Steam store.
Honestly, it is interesting how much controversy there's been so far. Like, I understand for the whole Kickstarter backer thing, from what other people that have used Kickstarter have said, that it's really hard to keep track of everything through Kickstarter and to make sure things get sent out just because of how Kickstarter is set up. And that's kind of why a lot of other projects will have a separate way of verifying rewards and tiers and all of that stuff so that they can keep track of it instead of trusting that it's correct on Kickstarter or whatever. Obviously, I don't know the details because I have not kickstarted a project myself. So I know that that does happen. It does seem like Starsand, the developers of Starsand, really fumbled that one, though, worse than other companies have. You know, everyone else can figure it out. Why didn't they? And then also the diversity is a huge issue that we've talked about before. Everyone in this game is white. And even the darkest skinned character, his skin was lightened before the game actually came out. From the concept art to the game, his skin actually got lightened. And then there was controversy about one of the girls. Her whole design was changed and she like became really boring or something. I don't know. But there's been a lot going on with Starsand, and it does kind of make me kick myself for getting caught up in the hype and ended up buying it, because I said when it came out, I said I don't think I'm going to get it. I think I'm going to wait until full release. And I said I have my suspicions about it because I felt like something kind of feels off. But then everyone was playing it and it looked cute and it was pretty and I wanted to play it. And so I got it. And here we are. And I'm already bored of it. But anyway, we continue.
Don't forget to like and also subscribe, but let's get into
I'll
this.
give you a like.
So at 3:35 a.m. UK time, the developers posted an announcement containing an update and a kind of apology in their Discord channel and across their social media platforms. This was titled Important Announcement, Game Content Adjustment and Temporary Delisting.
I do want to say real quick, she said that it was across all their social media and everything too. I think that that's a good sign, because a lot of companies will try to hide things like this. They'll only post it, like how Heartopia only posted an apology for their controversies in their Discord. They didn't post it anywhere else because they knew that, you know, nobody would see it, really. If they kept it in their Discord, that's only the most dedicated fans that are in the Discord, you know. So I think it's a good sign that they posted this announcement everywhere, and I believe they've posted all of the announcements about like the Kickstarter issues and the diversity issues with Starsand. I think they've been talking about all of it pretty publicly, which I think is a good sign that they should be willing to make some changes and they're willing to listen to feedback, but only time will tell. You know, so far nothing has really changed, but also it's going to take a long time to make those changes. It's not going to happen instantly. So we have to wait and see.
Which, if you looked at that when you've just woken up, does sound pretty serious. So I jumped out of bed and decided to read this thoroughly. The post itself starts with, due to an oversight during the planning phase, certain core elements of expression from a classic title were used without proper authorization within our minigame section. We sincerely apologize for this mistake. To address this immediately, we have taken the following emergency measures. So the first one is the Steam Store status. The Starsand Island Steam Store page has been temporarily delisted. We have already submitted a new game build with the unauthorized content removed for Steam to review. Once a review is complete, the game will be available for purchase and download again, and I can confirm I've ran over to the Steam page. There is no kind of evidence of it being on the store currently. There are DLCs which do kind of indicate that the game exists, but you can't actually view the main one, and if you go into your library and then click the store page, it just defaults you back to the Steam main page. 2. Compensation. To express our deepest regrets, we will be providing the Shining Star outfit set to all islanders. This compensation will be released as a free DLC within the next 7 business days. And then number 3, we have...
I want to say, it feels kind of weird that they're giving out a free DLC to apologize for basically having stolen assets in the game. Like, how does a free DLC equate? I don't know. It seems odd. I appreciate that they're giving something as an apology, but also it just seems kind of weird to be like, sorry, here's some free clothes. Please forgive us for stealing someone else's content in our minigame, you know? It's a corporate, here's a pizza party for our poopy management vibes. Exactly. I don't know, seems a little odd, but I at least appreciate the gesture. I feel like maybe it would have made more sense to do something more related to the minigames. To be like, hey, here's your coins back because you have to pay to play. Stuttering? No. Yeah, we should be back now. It went from yellow to green. So like you had to use the arcade currency, I believe, to play the arcade games. So I feel like you should be refunded for that, you know? But I don't know. Again, I didn't play those games, so I don't know exactly what was going on, what assets were used for what game and everything.
Data and progress. Once the new build is approved, you can simply update the game to continue your journey. While the unauthorized content will be removed, all of your previous game progress, save files, and in-game assets will be fully preserved. You do not need to worry about losing your data. That's good, and I'll touch more on that in just a moment. Internal improvement. We have already begun strengthening our internal review and auditing processes to ensure that such incidents never occur again.
This part I think is interesting because how did this happen? How did something from someone else's game make it through into this one? That makes me wonder about like, are we contracting people instead of having, you know, full employees? Are we contracting people to make the game for us, to add things into the game for us. Kind of like, what was that game called that we talked about before? Let me see. I have it. And Sunhaven. Kind of like the whole controversy with Sunhaven. Yep. What they were doing with contracting people, you know, out of the country. They always talk about another one on the Slow Burn podcast. I don't know which one that would be, but that makes me wonder about that. Are we contracting people and not, you know, managing them, not reviewing what they're submitting? Are they being paid enough? I start to wonder these things because of our experience with Sunhaven.
Lastly, we sincerely apologise to all islanders for any inconvenience this may have caused. Thank you for your continued patience and understanding and support. Before I go any further, I just want to address some points, because if you are a player, I do not want you panicking thinking you've lost your game, that you've paid money for, you've lost all your save game. You have not. So if you want to, you can still play the game that you have paid for. It will still show in your Steam library. I have tested this morning. I went into my Steam library, I opened up the game, and it was still running all fine.
Yeah, we literally know that the game was still working because we were just playing it and found out about this afterward. Everdream Valley is the one that they're talking about. Yeah, don't they like buy, isn't it like store-bought assets that they use in Everdream Valley or something? Where you can just buy it and put it in your game. And like a bunch of games are doing that now. I'm gonna snooze the ad. Maybe we'll make it through this.
This point means that the game has
before
been
it comes
removed from the
back.
store side of things, so you can't go ahead and
They
purchase
bought assets and then got copywritten or something like that.
If you haven't yet purchased the game and you were kind of thinking about, this is obviously going to be a problem for you.
You mean that they tried to copyright the assets after they bought them? As if they were their own, like try to claim them as their own assets after they bought them from the store or something is what happened? Or did they buy them and then whoever they bought them from tried to copyright claim them or something, even though they'd paid for them? I don't know what you mean, Alex.
And you're going to have to wait for the new build to be approved without the content that has caused the issue here. So the Steam page will then go live again once it has been reviewed. So if you still want to enjoy the game, you still want to play it, you 100% can. You are obviously going to get the prohibited or unauthorized content in the game still until they release that update though. So just bear that in mind. I don't think there's anything to worry about if you already have the game, aside from the wider picture here. But if you just want to purely enjoy the game, you still can. So what is the content that they are referring to that has caused the problem?
That's what I want to know.
So I believe, as they have made reference to mini game section, that they are talking about the arcade games that are available in the Chrono Arcade. In this shop,
I think someone sold assets they had used in a different game, and then people bought those assets, and the other game was like, hey, no, those are ours, and shouldn't have been included in the asset pack at all. Sold assets they'd used. Different game. People bought those assets. I could be talking out of my butt. I wouldn't know. I believe you. So basically there were assets in the pack that shouldn't have been in there, is what you think happened.
there are two games here, and these are games that players can enjoy as mini games, and you can play them with tokens. And these two games are Starblock and Foodie Bara. Starblock is
Tetris.
itself, it is a Tetris-like game. Actually, I take that back. I removed the like. It is pretty much just Tetris. There isn't even any kind of adjusting the block styles here to be something cuter. It is very kind of classic retro. I would have thought that if they were going to kind of put something like this in, they would perhaps have tried to like adjust it up a bit, maybe jazz it up. I don't know the full like copyright background of it as to what kind of elements, aspects they can fully change, but I do think that if you're going to do that, you need to make it kind of differential from the original product, but this felt very, very similar. The second game is Fudibara, which has again strongly been inspired by another game, the classic game Snake. If you owned a Nokia in the early 2000s, you will be more than familiar with this. You roam around the map collecting food to earn points, but the crucial twist in Fudibara is that you are actually a capybara and you just get longer the more food you consume. And the food you are collecting is kind of various colors of watermelons here. So there is some clear differences here. You're not a snake, although the gameplay kind of core elements do remain the same. You're not a snake running around collecting little bots. So I do think that they have done a bit of a better job with this one. Although I do have a 10-year-old law degree, I am not a practicing lawyer, and I definitely am not a copyright lawyer, but I have done some quick Googling, and as you can imagine, a game as iconic as Tetris is shrouded with protections, and aspects of the game are trademarked, so there is a chance that due to the developers making little to no adjustments to their version of the game, that this is perhaps the element that has caused the removal. Saying that though, both of these games do have kind of strong influences from previous games, so there is potentially, rightly, the chance that both of these are the problem here. No matter what the cause is though, the removal from the Steam store is obviously something that is going to hurt them financially, and it is definitely something that I imagine that they won't have wanted to do lightly, and in some ways maybe this is suggestive that there is something more serious going on behind the scenes. Maybe they have received some form of legal threat or maybe even action, so it would be interesting to know what exactly is going on behind the scenes. When it comes to matters like this, it is a little bit of a shame that they would have not thought about this and kind of do their due diligence on this matter, particularly as it's kind of been established now that perhaps Starsand Island isn't the indie game that it portrays itself to be. So if they do have a backing of a bigger company, then perhaps they have more resources available to do more checks like this. So I would have really hoped that this would have been something that kind of pinged up in someone's mind going, should we really be doing this? Should we not double check before we actually put this in our game? But
yeah, have you seen Josh's recent video about how a lot of these companies that are kind of acting as if they're indie studios are really not? It's called The Problematic Rise of Live Service Cozy Games. I watched that one and it was pretty good. Pretty good. Love Josh. He does his research. It's this one here. And this really is making me worried about all the games that are coming out. Because they just seem like, you know, seem like they're just trying to make money off of the cozy game genre. Check it out later, but I wouldn't have thought Starsand was indie. I mean, indie basically means anything that isn't a AAA studio. We usually interpret it to mean small, like, oh, there's only 10 people total at this company, you know, but it could really be a variation. It could be much larger, much smaller. It could be one person, it could be 200 people, and that would still be indie as long as it's not associated with a huge either publisher or developer company like that. So Josh goes into it really well, but it's a really long video. It's almost 31 minutes. I, of course, watched the entire thing, as you can tell. But I would definitely recommend watching that. I don't know, we could watch it now, but let me see. It would certainly be related to what we're talking about. But we probably won't watch the whole thing. Maybe we'll just watch some of it, and then anyone that's interested can watch the rest themselves. Let me see. Start the ad and think about it. That's a good point. I forgot that I kept snoozing the ad. Okay, let me run the ad. All right, we are back. So this is The Problematic Rise of Live Service Cozy Games by Josh's Gaming Garden. This Graveyard Keeper is free on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox this weekend. Really? Well, hold on. Graveyard Keeper. It is. Well, good to know. If anyone wants to play Graveyard Keeper, it is free this weekend. Thank you, Alex, for sharing that information. I've never played before. Came out in 2018. Interesting. Free to keep when you get it before April 13th at 1 p.m. Well, I mean, if it's free, just give it to me. Thank you for the heads up, Alex. I now have Graveyard Keeper installed. Alright. Also grabbed Cozy Grove from Epic Games a few weeks ago. Good to save money. I have Cozy Grove on the Switch. And I thought it was okay. I paid for it though. I liked it for the first while. I don't like games when you have to like wait till the next day to play more. It's really just not my kind of game. And I know like that's how Animal Crossing is, but I would time skip in Animal Crossing and I didn't time skip with Cozy Grove. I assume you could. Same way you would with Animal Crossing. Okay. The Problematic Rise of Live Service Cozy Games by Josh's Gaming Garden. Highly recommend Josh if you're interested in cozy games or farming sims or anything like that. So let's see what Josh has to say about the rise of live service cozy games.
Hi guys, Josh here, and as you know, whenever something becomes popular, it's only a matter of time before the greediest corporations come and try to ruin it for all of us. The cozy games genre is their next victim, being hit with controversies involving generative AI, predatory monetization, giant tech companies pretending to be indie developers, all in the hopes of getting us to spend as much money as possible on games that for some reason all look the same. In this video, we will explore the reason for that and all of these problems that are becoming increasingly noticeable with live service games in particular. If you find this video interesting at any point, leave a like or hype it up, and let's get into it. We first need to quickly establish what is a live service cozy game. The term cozy games in itself is very subjective, meaning different things to different people, but in most cases it's more of a marketing buzzword than a concrete attribute used in order to target a casual audience who is looking for a relaxing experience. A majority of that audience is comprised of women, which is in contrast to most of the gaming industry, and that is an important point we will come back to later in the video. Games that are marketed as cozy will often contain elements from the farming or like sim genres, such as gardening, fishing, decorating, socializing, but not always, and you can also have farming games that are not even trying to be cozy. In the end, it is pretty vague, which is why I usually avoid using that term, but all of the games we are talking about today are leaning on that cozy, wholesome, and cute packaging. It is often one of their main selling points, which, as you'll see, often doesn't quite align with their business practices that are far from cozy. This uncoziness is often linked to the live service aspect of these games, which, in case you're not familiar, that is when a game is designed to be receiving updates and new content over several years, so that it is continuously evolving. Players will have incentives to log in every day, and the purpose is to hook you in so that you play as often as possible, because every time you play is a chance for them to sell you something through microtransactions. In recent years, we've seen the release of a few major cozy live service games already, and they truly set the foundations that we'll go over to identify a few common practices and patterns from the industry. Let's start with Palia. I played it a lot when it first came out. I moved on eventually, but I appreciated how microtransactions were only for outfits and not affecting your stats or anything gameplay related. Over time, they did expand the shop to more than just outfits, but as far as I know, when it comes to grinding for resources, advancing in the story, crafting furniture, and decorating, all players are equal. You cannot pay to progress faster. While I think this is better than what most of the games we'll see next are doing, at launch, the in-game marketplace was far from perfect. There is a very common but not any less predatory practice in the world of live service games, where in order to buy something, you first need to exchange money for an in-game currency.
I hate when you have to use your money to buy the in-game currency, and Josh goes into it here. You have to buy the bundles, and the bundle of the currency is never the price of an actual outfit or whatever you're trying to buy. You always have to buy the larger bundle in order to have enough currency. Fortnite does the same, they all do. That was one thing that I liked about Final Fantasy XIV, was that it was just cash. It would just tell you, this is $20. It wasn't like you have to buy this bundle in order to afford it, but we'll give you extra if you get the bundle and blah, blah, blah. Josh goes into the math of it right here in a bit, but just make it cash. I understand that you, the company, will make more money if you do the currency thing and force people to buy the bundles, because then people will spend more money and then they're not quite sure how much they have and what they can get with it, and they'll end up spending more money that way. So I understand that's why they do it, but I think it's just so much better to just put the cash amount on the outfit or whatever you're buying, whatever the cosmetic is. Just put the actual USD or whatever price, Canadian, whatever it is, put the actual price there, and that way people know, okay, this is how much it costs to buy this outfit. And I have spent a lot of money on Final Fantasy XIV, even though they're like, oh, people won't spend as much money, they won't buy it if it's cash. I spent money. I was like, I want that outfit. $20 per outfit, I'm in. Anyway, Josh goes into the math of it next. Yeah, I don't care either. Exactly. If I want it, I will buy it. But I'm actually less likely to buy it if they do the currency thing and the bundles and all that, because that makes me go, this is not worth it. Whereas if they're like, oh, $20 for an outfit, hell yeah, I'll spend a few $20 here and there. I'll give myself 4 outfits today.
This becomes a big problem when the currency is being sold in bundles that don't align with the price of the items. For example, let's say there's one outfit that sells for 7 diamonds, but you can only buy bundles of 5 or 10 diamonds. So you don't really have a choice, you get the 10 diamonds, but then you're left with 3, which is not enough to buy a second outfit, so you get 5 more diamonds. Now you have 8, so after buying your second outfit, you're stuck with 1 diamond left. You're in this endless loop where you can never use up all of your diamonds, and you are encouraged to keep topping up, even though initially you just wanted to buy a single outfit. The shop in Palia was originally following that format, But fortunately, they listened to the players' feedback, and now all of the currency bundles and what you buy with them can be divided by 425, making it so you can always pretty much get just the right amount. In this case, they were able to turn things around, but I wanted to bring it up because as players, this is something we should keep an eye out for. Paella, along with the majority of live service games, is free to play, so if you can resist the temptation of microtransactions, you can play for years without spending a single dollar. With most games, it's a similar compromise. Either you buy a full game upfront, or you play for free and maybe pay for microtransactions later down the line. There are exceptions to this rule, however, as not all developers are willing to compromise. When Disney Dreamlight Valley was first announced, we were told that we would have to pay for early access, but that once the full release came, they would transition into a free-to-play model. Here comes the Disney magic. In a surprising move, they changed their mind along the way. So now, even with the full release, you have to buy the base game. There are 3 DLCs that cost almost as much as the base game itself, and microtransactions are still present. I'm aware that there are ways to obtain Moonstones, which is the premium currency, simply by playing, and many people are able to enjoy the game without spending more than the base game. But we can't ignore the fact that if a game has an item that can be purchased with either real money or by playing for free, the developer has an incentive to make the free way a lot more difficult or grindy than it would be in a game that does not have microtransactions.
Exactly. They are always trying to get you to spend money in a game like that. They want you to, so they make it really difficult to play for free. You still technically can, but they'll make it really tough to do anything or to make progress without spending money. I feel like Paella is pretty good about that. Disney doesn't make enough money. Yeah, definitely. I can't believe that you have to pay for it and there's microtransactions. It should not be both. It should not be both. It should be one. It's just the greed is so obvious with this kind of strategy, this kind of monetization. I just feel like it's so blatantly just greed. I don't know, it's crazy to me.
So even if you don't get involved with the microtransactions ever, they are still affecting game design decisions and how the in-game economy is balanced. Next, we have Infinity Nikki. We are back to free-to-play, but with a new and incredibly addictive twist, gacha. If you're not familiar with gacha, it takes inspiration from the gachapon machines you find in Japan, where you insert money, turn a little crank, and get a random toy or trinket. You know in advance the selection of items you can possibly get, but it is still random, so if you're interested in something in particular, you may end up spending a lot more than what you originally planned. Plus, if you want to get everything in a set, which is what most people will want if we're talking, for example, about an outfit, not only does it get more expensive, but the fear of missing out is also coming into play. Gacha games tend to have multiple limited time events going on at the same time, and the only way to keep up is either to play every single day to maximize the free currency you can get, or to give up and make it easier for yourself by spending real money. In some games, you will be guaranteed a rare item or something of your choice every 5 or 10 gacha pulls, and while that can reduce the frustration of not getting anything good, when you think of it, in reality, it's not too different from a casino serving you a free drink so that you stay in a good mood and keep playing. The shop in Infinity Nikki makes sure to tell you to budget wisely. Like a pack of cigarettes will tell you that smoking is bad, but it is very difficult to budget when there are so many different currencies to keep track of. First, you have Bling, which is the most basic currency, but then you go into the premium shop and there's Stellarite, Diamond. For the gacha, you have to turn your diamonds into Sparklights, and I'm not even going to attempt explaining anything beyond that. Someone called Chris Berry created this chart going over all of the different currencies and how they work. There is so much going on. I have no doubt that if you play regularly, it all makes sense, and you can develop tricks to get as much as possible without having to take out your credit card. But there is no doubt that it is complicated by design. there wouldn't be as many currencies in a regular
Shout
offline
out
game.
Chris Berry.
Each currency has its own specific purpose, and the more you have to convert to them, the more mental energy you spend trying to figure everything out, the more you distance yourself from the value of that original transaction. You also have things that are similar to weekly or monthly passes, where you not only pay to obtain a currency, but you still have to log in every day in order to claim it. Add to that the fact that there are always multiple events going on at once, discounts all over the place, different pages for different types of transactions. All of it is designed to make you feel overwhelmed. In the last year, Infinity Nikki players have been speaking up about the more and more aggressive monetization methods, even leading up to a girl cut, as the developer muted the word boycott on their social platforms.
That's crazy to me. They muted the word boycott so that if you commented boycott or anything, it wouldn't show up in the comments. Suspicious. But it's just the fact that all of this is intentional. You know, making it confusing is intentional so that you spend more money. And it, you know, gacha doesn't let you just buy what you want. You have to gamble in order to have a chance to get the thing you want. And it's probably a very low % chance that you're going to get what you want. And it's just so unnecessary. Just let me pay for what I want. But they know that you'll spend more money to get it than you would if it was just easily purchasable. It's just so frustrating. And it just feels like every game coming out now is heading toward this. Either gacha or microtransactions. It's just, come on, man.
You can find entire videos going into all the details, but one small contributor to the outrage is that leading up to its 1.5 update and release on Steam, the developer promised a reward of 11 crystals if they hit 100,000 wishlists, before sneakily decreasing it to only 2. They did later make up for it by giving everybody 10 crystals, but you will see this is a recurring pattern with most of these developers, who would be getting away with a lot of shady practices if it wasn't for players speaking up. Another side to live service games is that updates are not only adding content, sometimes they're also removing or replacing things, and as a player, all of that is out of your control. In the infamous 1.5 update, the entire intro segment was turned into a completely different experience, affecting the tone and direction of the story, the way in which new players discover the game, and the community overall did not like that change.
Let me play my game and look pretty for one set price? Exactly. I'm okay with having, you know, clothes and cosmetic items and DLC. I'm okay with paying for that as long as I know how much I'm spending on it. It's not some weird in-game currency that I have to buy, and it's not a gacha. I can just buy it directly. You know? Like, if just let me buy the outfit if I want the fucking outfit. I just don't understand. But also, I feel like if you already purchased the game at a set price, you shouldn't need to spend more on more items. You know what? That should be in the game. Why isn't it in the game? But like Josh is saying here, not only do live service games add more over time, they can also remove stuff that was already in the game. Like he talks about how the intro for Infinity Nikki was changed for whatever reason. I don't know why they did that. It's so weird and confusing now. And then, like we were just talking about, for Starsand Island, they removed the minigames just recently. And I feel like because they have the ability to edit the game that way. They're much more lax about the game and releasing it in, whatever state it's in, instead of taking the time to double check everything, make it how you want it to be before you publish it. They're like, well, we can fix it later. It just feels like lazier than it used to be. Not to be all, boomery and whatnot, but it just feels lazier. There's less effort and care put into making sure the game comes out good the first time, because we can fix it later.
There is a real risk of spending money on a game for the developers to change direction at any point, make things more expensive over time, or inevitably shut down its servers when it's no longer profitable. If there is...
That's another thing too, is for live service games, once the servers shut down, you can't play it anymore. If it's like a multiplayer game or anything like that, it's not the kind of thing where you can just keep playing and there's just no more updates. They just shut it down and it's gone. So even though you paid for it and put all this money in it, you can't play it anymore.
One thing uniting all of these live service games, it is controversy. It might take a few months, years, or in the case of Heartopia, weeks. It uses similar monetization techniques as Infinity Nikki, so an overwhelming shop, multiple currencies, fear of missing out. Each gacha pull gets more expensive than the previous one.
Right, Alex, it's not just cozy games, it's just that cozy games are the new target for this kind of behavior. For example, World of Warcraft, like I keep talking about Final Fantasy 14. That's not new, and it's not cozy. This has been an issue for a long time. It's just that now that cozy games are popular, they're now targeting cozy games and making cozy game branding, to try to sell it. And I think it's the same with like pretending to be an indie studio or pretending to be a smaller studio, because they know people are more likely to support them and to spend money in order to support a smaller studio. Again, it all comes back to money. They just want money. It's not about making a game that they're proud of or that they think is cool or enjoyable. They just want money.
But I would like to focus on an issue that goes beyond monetary greed. I will read you this post from fellow content creator Let's Play K, who's showing us footage from a newly added questline. She says, in this quest, you feed a mushroom to one of the few people of color NPCs, and after they eat the mushroom, they jump up and down and make monkey noises. I'm disgusted by the blatant racism. The developer then apologized, but only on Discord, where...
See, this is what we talked about earlier. They only apologized on Discord, nowhere else.
A tiny portion of the player base could see it, and without even directly addressing the racism aspect of it all.
Right.
So that
it was so vague. It was such a vague thing, and I read that on stream when you guys told me about it, because I hadn't seen that cutscene happen in the game. It was removed by the time I played it. So I only heard about this because of this announcement and because of you guys telling me about it during stream. But that announcement was so ridiculous. I think he reads it here, but like they're trying to accurately depict what someone acts like when they're poisoned or whatever is so stupid. People don't jump around and make monkey noises when they're poisoned. But okay, Heartopia.
Players who had not seen the cutscene in question would just brush it off as not a big deal. The developer explained themselves, saying that they wanted to accurately depict the symptoms of dizziness and loss of bodily control resulting from poisoning. Accurately is debatable. I never had poisonous mushrooms, let me know if it makes you act like a monkey. But anyway, they removed the cutscene from the game and apologized to anyone who may have felt offended. In other words, we're not sorry for what we did, just that you guys are upset. If you think that was it, it gets worse. They end their apology by saying we appreciate the feedback. Moving forward, we will take this incident as a learning opportunity and strive to promote an inclusive and congenial environment within Heartopia. So, moving forward to March 28th, not even a month later, they post this video on X to show off the character customization features, and they create 2 characters. On the top you can read it says my avatar, and there's a pretty cutesy blonde girl. Then at the bottom it's friend's avatar, and the very first thing she puts on her face is what I suppose is meant to be like a clay mask. This is definitely a clay mask, right? Because she's going to the spa, right? No, she's not going to the spa. Instead, she puts on leopard print overalls, some big animal paw shoes, paw gloves, and a bunch of strange accessories. There are hundreds of ways that they could have made a goofy-looking character that was not insensitive, but this is certainly not it.
Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, oh. Yeah, I didn't know about this one either. I learned about it from Josh's video. I was just like, oh, they immediately did it again. If they had literally not put the mask on or whatever, the mud mask, it would have... that just makes me think that it's intentional, right? It's not that they just don't know. It's intentional. How could this not be intentional? Animal print and a mud mask and angry eyes? I don't know, man. I don't see how that could possibly not be intentional.
They then show the 2 characters dancing, tell you to download the game for a dreamy life in a cozy town, but to me and most people, racism is not very cozy. They locked the comments on that specific post, and now I think you can't see it unless you're using the direct link, so obviously they know they did something wrong, yet they're not willing to address it or apologize. I'm not on their Discord, so I've not witnessed this firsthand, but a lot of players are also bringing up how the developers are very heavy-handed with moderation.
This is true, because I am in the Discord, and when the whole first controversy came out, people were freaking out in the Discord, and they set it so that you can't see the history of the chat. So once you left the chat room and came back, the whole history would be gone. Everything that had been said in there would be gone, and you would only be able to see what was currently being said the moment that you're in that channel. So it's a sneaky way of deleting messages without having it be super obvious that you're deleting them, because when you're sitting there looking at it, you can see them all. And you're like, okay, yeah. You know, everyone's saying whatever, then you leave and come back and all that's gone. You know. So anyone that missed everything that was happening when it was happening goes in to figure out what was going on. They're not going to see all these old messages and only see what people are saying at that very moment. And I don't know if the moderation was worse than that, because that's just what I witnessed. You know, I don't know if specific people were being muted or anything like that. I know some people said they were, but I don't know for sure. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're willing to delete comments and delete the history and everything. Then, I mean, I don't think it's crazy that they would be muting or banning people that were talking about it. Yep.
Removing any sort of criticism. There are already very few characters with a darker skin tone in the game.
Right.
So
literally, I can only think of 2 dark-skinned characters in the game, and one of them is the one that danced around like a monkey and doesn't speak full sentences, by the way. That was left out. Because he's like supposed to be a traveling, what's it called? Connoisseur when you love food. So he doesn't speak whatever language we speak in Heartopia. So he doesn't have complete sentences and talks in all caps. I believe that's the same character. And that's why he wanted to eat the poison mushroom, was because he wanted to try it, because he's obsessed with food or whatever. So, of the two dark-skinned characters, one dances around like a monkey and doesn't speak the language. And the other one is like off in the corner. And you only talk to him occasionally for random quests, and I don't know anything about him. And all the other NPCs are white. Or pale-skinned, I should say. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy.
The fact that they somehow messed up like that twice within 1 month, and right after saying they were going to learn, is not excusable. By the way, the developer behind Heartopia is XD Inc., a large Chinese company who made a profit equivalent to $240 million in 2025. So even if you were to try to justify it with cultural differences, they have way more than enough resources. There is no way that they can't hire someone to double check their content and make sure that nothing is insensitive. Putting that aside, if you look at their social media pages, almost all of the comments are negative, complaining about the monetization, how the gacha
Hey
is
Nora,
unfair,
welcome in.
bugs that are
You're a strawberry bumblebee today. Hydrate and unshrimp. I hydrated, I'm unshrimping, and I'm stretching. I have stretched. Welcome in, Nora. How are you doing today? We're doing a watch along about the problematic rise of live service cozy games by Josh's Gaming Garden. Talking about Heartopia.
are not getting fixed, the list goes on. Of course, unsatisfied customers are always more vocal. Someone will go out of their way to leave a bad review over a good one, but you can check pretty much any of their posts and you will clearly see that the developer is in the wrong. Steam reviews are not any better.
Just settling in for the afternoon? I guess it is almost 2 p.m., huh? My time, at least. I need to buy food. I ate, though, so I did good. Be proud of me. I did eat. I just need to purchase more food at some point today. And I don't want to leave my apartment. But also, I feel weird. Proud of you. Thank you, Alex. But I kind of feel bad ordering delivery all the time, even though I've only ordered delivery twice. Still feel bad about it. So proud of you, buddy. Thanks, Nora. I don't know. I have issues with food. It's complicated.
And lastly, Heartopia got some backlash for using generative AI. They are using it in a puzzle minigame, as well as in the in-game chat to
So for the generative AI, I know that they said they're only using it in the puzzles and the translation. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. I think for their advertisements, that's generative AI. It looks like it to me. The weird, like, softness of how it looks and everything. I feel like it's probably AI. And the clothes, I've said this before, there's all the random text and stuff on the clothes, and how a lot of the color variations like don't really work. It kind of just seems like very random colors. I personally feel like it looks like AI. And they said that there's no generative AI used on anything that you spend real money on, which would be the gacha. So they're claiming that that is designed by someone, a real person. Could be. I do feel like even some of those outfits are strange. Like we talked about before, that one outfit that I wanted, but I didn't like that it had like the random glasses on the front and the tie and like the weird clashing colors for some of the color variations. I find it suspicious. With everything else that's come out about it, I find it suspicious. I don't think they're being completely honest. And I don't know. I don't really think they deserve the benefit of the doubt at this point. You know, with everything that they've done regarding people of color in the game, I feel like at this point, yeah, my buddy AI is the main guy on the design. It's just sad because I really enjoyed playing it with everyone. And I do feel like my character looks so cute in that game. And I actually like the current banners. But I didn't spend any money on it. I used what was left of my free stuff and then I didn't play anymore. But I'm still sad about it because I did enjoy it. The game itself is not that great, honestly. The game itself, very bare bones, extremely glitchy, not very fun. It was everyone playing together is what made it fun. So hopefully we'll find another game like that. But I really did like the character design, especially my character. I felt very cute. And I'm sad that I'm not cute anymore. I'm not playing it anymore. But I also don't want to support them anymore. Life sucks. First world problems.
Translate what players type in other languages. When it comes to the translation, I wouldn't want the game itself to be written or translated using AI, but if it's for messages between players and you can turn it off, it makes it more accessible.
Right, I agree with Josh on that one. I was not upset about using AI to translate in-game conversations between players. I thought that was fine, because what are you going to do? Are you going to hire someone to sit there and watch every player and translate every language into every other language, you know? I thought it made sense in that case. And it's only when you're using the coffee stations that translate option is available and you can turn it off. So like that I don't think anyone was really worried about that. It was the generative AI in the game assets and the clothes and the characters and everything. Like one time, Doris, the special character who comes out during special weather, the picture of her teeth were the same color as her skin. And you're trying to tell me that that is not AI. You are trying to tell me that that was not AI. That is AI. Come on now. There's no way.
Lets players connect with others from around the world. I see it as beneficial. For the puzzles, however, it feels completely unnecessary. After players pointed out the use of AI, the developer did add a disclosure on the Steam page, as is required by Steam, so now, at the very least, Everyone can see it and make their own decision.
And I think part of the issue too is they did not disclose it until everyone pointed it out. It was already on Steam, and they did not disclose that there was generative AI until people started pointing it out, and then they disclosed it. So I think it's very likely that they're hiding other stuff too. Battlefield 6 has some AI art in it, and I decided not to pick it up. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to support AI art at all. Why would I want AI to make art? Why would I want that? I want AI to do my dishes and do my laundry and pick up my groceries. I don't want it to make art. I don't want it to make music. I don't want it to make games. I don't want it to do all the fun things. I want it to do the not fun things that I don't want to do.
The problem, however, just like with the Infinity Nikki wishlist rewards that were secretly changed, is that if there had been no backlash, who knows if
they wouldn't
ever
have disclosed it.
their use of generative
They would have
AI.
never
Are
disclosed
they
it.
using it for other parts of the game without telling us? At this point, trust is broken, and that makes it hard to believe them going forward. It is a fact that generative AI is being used more and more in game development, such as in this game formerly known as Project Atom, but now rebranding to Totopia.
This one
is
I'd never heard
Heartopia,
of.
This is Totopia, two different games by the way. According to Jared McCarty from Super Jump magazine, who played a demo at PAX West last year, the game has an AI tool within the character customization, where you can prompt it to create a badge with an image for your character to wear. The game is not out yet, it is still in development, so I don't want to jump to conclusions too early, but there is no AI content disclosure on their Steam page at the time of recording this video. More than the use of generative AI itself, what really bothers me is the lack of transparency that we keep witnessing over and over again with all of these developers. After Heartopia, Totopia, what's next? Well, here's Flowtopia, which brings me to my next point. There is no originality anymore. Palia, Dreamlight Valley, and Infinity Nikki all felt distinct from one another, with different gameplay mechanics, different monetization methods for better and for worse, but everyone was able to tell them apart and find the game that was best for them. Recently, a major shift has been happening, and it does not feel authentic. So we got Heartopia not long ago, and in the next months and year we can expect Totopia, Flowtopia, Petit Planet, Animalanuk, Animo, and probably more I can't keep up. We have all of these games being announced back to back. All of their trailers have the same Pixar movie level of quality, where it's cartoony but also extremely detailed. Don't get me wrong, they look impressive, just very similar. And when you get to finally see the gameplay, again, they're all so similar that if someone renamed the video files on my computer, I probably would not be able to tell which is which. Even their websites all look the same, with the fancy custom cursors and animations, music playing in the background, which is, by the way, the most annoying thing you can put on a website.
I hate the music on a website. That is so annoying. I always have to mute it immediately because it's always so loud. It's never like just quiet music in the background. It's always so loud. Why is it so loud? If you want to put a little piano in the background, fine. Why is it blasting trumpets at me right now? Like, it's so loud. I don't understand. I hate it. I always immediately mute it. If I can't mute it, I literally just close the page. Because I'm like, I can't do this right now. Old MySpace pages, exactly. It's just why? This does not add to the experience. You're making it worse. Turn it down.
In one of the corners, they're promising special rewards if they get enough pre-registrations. Who knows if they will sneakily change them. And next to that, a button to pre-register, so you can be the first to play whenever they do their next alpha or beta. Of course, each game will have its unique features. Some will focus on decorating, others on multiplayer, exploration, creature collecting, but the overlap still seems so large to me that I have a hard time seeing most of these games sticking around in a meaningful way.
Yeah, what's up with them all being in space and having stars and stuff? Why are they all like that? Why do they all have that same theme of like floating through the night sky or whatever? What's going on with that?
Players are already getting fed up, so as soon as the next one arrives, they'll jump to it. It will be a matter of time before that other game gets too aggressive with monetization or gets into a controversy, at which point players will hop onto yet another game, and so on. They're all going to be fighting for the same player base at the same time, and realistically, the average player won't be able to keep up with all of them. To me, all of this doesn't feel like the work of developers that are passionate about creating a fun experience, but more like the work of giant corporations in a race to see who can take the most money from cozy gamers.
Exactly what I'm saying.
There is also a reason why they're all looking the same and going for a very chibi character style, or if the characters themselves are not chibi, you will see the most adorable fluffy creatures. If you're not familiar with baby schema, it is this idea, which is scientifically proven, that physical features from infants, such as a large head, round face, and big eyes, are perceived as cute, activating the reward processing part of your brain and motivating you to care for that baby. They did a
I thought that part was really interesting. The reason they all look so similar is because they're all going for that same baby schema. The big head, the big eyes, basically looking like a cute baby, because then he mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's predominantly women that play these games, and the studies have shown that women are more likely to want to take care of something that looks like a baby. So it means that your cute game is cute because they're trying to make you want to take care of it and spend money to take care of it. Yeah, it's been studied largely. Cutesy things have a survival advantage. Yeah, because we want to protect them. They're cute. Where's my cozy shooter game? There probably is one. Don't worry, AI is working on it right now. As we speak, AI will get you your cozy shooter game.
Study where they showed portraits of babies to men and women who had to rate the cuteness of these babies, as well as their level of motivation to care for each one. Some of these portraits were altered to accentuate or diminish the cute features of the babies. However, while both male and female participants gave similar cuteness ratings, female participants were significantly more motivated to care for the babies that were modified to look cuter. This is great for real babies, but when you bring this into the world of advertising, it makes it very easy for companies to take advantage of that biological response.
Joke's on them, I don't like babies. Puppies are another thing. I like kittens. They could get me with cats, probably. I hated the animals in Heartopia, though, to be fair, because they were always in the way. They would ruin my dishes because I couldn't reach the oven because they were blocking it. Doesn't matter how cute they are, if you ruin my food, I'll never forgive you. But maybe that's why I liked the characters in Heartopia so much. I was like, they're so cute. I do want to be a mom one day, so I need to not fall for this stuff. I don't want to be a parent. Children are scary. Good for you. Basically, Nora, if there's a baby bottle that has a cute baby face on it, and it costs 10 times as much as a bottle that doesn't have a cute baby face on it, you need to really think. You need to really think about whether it's worth spending that extra money for the cute baby face. I've got a husband, it's the same, right? I hope not, Alex. I hope it's not the same as having a baby. For your sake, I hope it's not the same. I really hope it's not the same. He's great. Well, good.
Put these baby features everywhere in their products, from Labubus to gacha games, and sell them to a female audience, who in this case happens to constitute a major portion of the cozy gaming market. On one hand, it is common sense to make a product that appeals to your target audience as much as possible. On the other hand, the fact that they're all pretty much going for the same style that has been proven to create strong emotional connections feels a lot more like a calculated and fully optimized business decision than an artistic one. More importantly, a real baby won't drain your credit card. Well, in a way, yes, because babies are expensive to care for, but the baby itself doesn't care about your money. Babies represent purity and innocence, so it feels particularly insidious when you use that image to package a product that has for goal to get you addicted and spend as much as possible. Normally, competition is good, more games is good, cute games are good, if they're also fun, but all of these games popping up at the same time, following all the same steps, same business decisions, going with the same art style, it feels off. While we don't fully know what's happening behind the scenes, what games started their development first, I find it truly interesting how some of these studios are not the most transparent about who they are, and they like to give off the impression of being indie developers, or at the very least, new studios. To be fair, not all of them. Like I said, Heartopia is made by XD Inc. It's listed right there on Steam. There's no secret. Petit Planet is made by MiHoYo, which is the developer of Genshin Impact, so similarly, we know what to expect. My issue is when you have to go out of your way to find anything. Animulanuk, for example, is developed and published by Lililandia Games. Lililandia is a clear reference to Lilliputian, which means something tiny or miniature, because in Animulanuk, you will play as a tiny character in a world where everything is giant. This studio is popping up out of nowhere. They have not made any games before. Everything hints at the fact that it was put together solely for Animulanuk. When searching for information, the first thing I found was this dev diary posted on Reddit 6 months ago, going into how their story began. It is pretty lengthy, so I'll just read you the first few paragraphs to give you an idea of the vibes. Since this is our very first project as a studio, we'd like to share why it matters to us, M-, and hopefully to you as well. Many of us share a familiar memory, sitting at a desk on a lazy weekend or summer afternoon, staring at a homework or a book,
Hi,
while
Sunny,
our thoughts
welcome
drifted
in.
to the cartoons we
Our
had
sunflower
just been
bumblebee
watching.
today.
Sometimes we wished a cat or dog would keep us company. Sometimes we imagined stepping into those worlds of heroes and magic.
How are you doing, Sunny? We're watching Josh's The Problematic Rise of Live Service Cozy Games. Talking about Heartopia and Petit Planet, Animula Nook, really hard for me to say, and all those games that suspiciously look similar. Right now he's talking about how some of them seem like they're a small development team or a small studio, but actually they seem to be backed by much larger studios.
Where even ordinary objects, a pencil sharpener, a notebook, a toy, could become part of a tiny world of adventure, free from stress or pressure. One late night at work, someone on our team brought up that memory. It sparked a conversation about the cartoons we loved, the games and stories that shaped our imagination, and the low joys of daily life. For a while, the exhaustion of the day faded, and we found ourselves smiling again, like rediscovering a forgotten part of ourselves. That night, we asked ourselves, What if we could revisit those moments of imagination? What if there was a way to reconnect with the part of us that still sees wonder in small things? Or, in a more whimsical thought, what if we could shrink down and see the world in miniature? That was the seed of Animula Nook. It keeps going like that, repeating the same kind of stuff, and I like giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know about you. To me, this feels very generic and way more put together, I guess, than how most people would tell a story. It doesn't sound personal at all. Plus, if you know anything about AI-generated text, you know how much it loves using M dashes. Of course, real people can use M dashes as well, but 10 in a single post is a lot. AI also likes to structure their sentences in specific ways. One of the popular ones is when it says, A is not only B, it's also C. You can see that right here in the next line. As development continued, our conversations weren't only about game systems, they were about life. Let me know what you think in the comments. There's a lot in this story that feels off. And I can't believe they forgot to include the most important part. If you dig a bit deeper, you will find that their trademarks for Lilylandia Games and Animula Nook have been filed by Tencent, one of the largest corporations and investors in the video games industry. The dev diary was posted on Reddit in September 2025, while the American trademark for Animula Nook was filed months before in April. Being backed, or who knows, possibly created from scratch by Tencent is a pretty big deal, so why are they not mentioning it in their long origin story?
Yes, Alex informed us that Graveyard Keeper is free on Steam this weekend for anyone that is interested in playing it. Didn't you say it was also free on Xbox and somewhere else? But yes, it is free this weekend only until, I think they said the 13th at like 1 p.m. my time or something. PlayStation. So basically, it seems like Tencent bought the trademark to Lilylandia Games in order to kind of masquerade as a smaller little company, just, you know, trying to make their dream game after having this conversation at work about how they miss their childhood or whatever. I thought that whole thing that he read was like so generic and like, okay, so childhood and tiny things, that's how you made the game? Because to me, that kind of sounds like what you would plug into an AI to tell it to come up with something. And I have not played Animula Nook. I have not played it. I have watched people play it, and I kind of like don't understand the premise. So we're tiny, and we're shrinking things down to our size so that we can use them. But like, why are we tiny? And I feel like it would have made more sense instead of us being able to shrink things down. Why aren't we just kind of like what's it called? Small Lands and that other one where you're like kids that were shrunk down in the backyard. In those games, the world around you is huge and you have to, like, a blade of grass is like the size of a big plank of wood for you, and you can use it to build and whatnot. But in this game, you would use like regular planks of wood. Grounded, yeah, exactly. I just feel like, what's the point of being miniature if everything's still the exact same, we've just shrunk it down to our size. If everything's the same size, then what's the difference? I don't get it. What's the point of being miniature if everything else is still exactly the same in the end, right? The fun thing about being tiny is that everything else is huge. But if we're shrinking everything down to our size, then what's the point of being tiny? I don't understand. Senny's into Power Wash Simulator and Alex is into Pocopia. Been doing paint by numbers.
That they went out of their way to post on Reddit. While, yes, it is technically true that this is Lililenya's first project as a studio, and maybe it will be an amazing game, it does look fun and I love the concept, but I think the way their story is being presented is not the most genuine. Like everything else so far, it feels very calculated, and I'd love to know why they're not telling us everything. Let's say you go on a first date with someone, they look cute, they're funny, but you can feel they're not telling you the truth about who they are, where they're from, or what they do for a living. Would you go on a second date? They could still be a great person, but you can't deny that it's strange, it's not the greatest first impression. So let's swipe and move on to our next candidate, Animo, developed and published by Paw Print Studio.
Now, Animo, I thought that looked like AI immediately when I first saw it. The way the creatures look and everything. And also, I'm just not interested in that type of game where it's like a Pokemon-esque kind of game where you fight and catch monsters, pocket monsters, if you will. So like I wasn't interested in it to begin with, but even more so now, I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Which, again, has not released any other game. They are a bit more upfront about being a label of a larger company called FunPlus. It is on their website, but it's interesting how it's at least one step removed. You wouldn't know that just by looking at the Steam page. As for Project Atom or Totopia, it's developed and published by J&G Studio. Same thing, no history whatsoever at first glance. Luckily, we can always count on trademark filings to help us. It doesn't take too long for me to find that a trademark for Totopia was filed in July 2025 by Lemon Inc. Who is that? Let's search for other trademarks from the same company. And oh, here's ByteDance. You may have heard of them. Turns out they made a little app called TikTok. They're also really into generative AI. What could possibly go wrong? So behind all of these studios that try to appear as brand new or indie, we actually have the largest gaming and tech companies in the world. To be clear, I don't mind that Lemon Inc. is making a game. I simply don't like that they're not being very transparent about it. As bad as Ubisoft and EA can be, at the very least, when they acquire or create a studio, you will see them listed as publishers and know where their money is going. Not a live service game, but I want to give an honorable mention to Starsand Island, developed and published by Seed Sparkle Lab, who launched a Kickstarter campaign on April 29, 2025, as they really needed our support to develop their game. In their very first post, the developer talks about their love for farming games, but it sounds pretty generic, just like the game itself, and most notably, they never tell us their name, they don't tell us about their experience as a game developer, or even the size of their team. To compare, let's take a quick look at other campaigns on Kickstarter. For Loftia, there's a whole section about the humans behind the game. It tells us how the studio was founded by Michael and Martina in 2022, how they quit their job, hired more people, and you have a page with even more details, profiles for all of the developers. They're telling us a lot. I just picked a few very quickly, but Coral Island, Ova Magica, Roots of Pacha. Most game developers will be excited, go out of their way to tell you about themselves, and how much they're passionate about their project. Something feels off whenever we don't get any of that, especially when it comes to crowdfunding, where ideally you want to build a connection, a relationship based on trust with your audience. So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to learn more about Seed Sparkle Lab, and again, trademark filings are here to save the day. As it turns out, the trademark for Starsand Island was filed by Kingsoft, 2 weeks before the launch of the crowdfunding campaign. Kingsoft is yet another very large Chinese tech company, and to be fair, a company owning a trademark does not necessarily indicate that they're covering all or even most of the development costs, but still, I think most players would have appreciated to know that Kingsoft was involved in a way or another before giving to what they thought was only a small indie developer on their own. Again, it's a large piece of information to omit, not something you forget to mention by accident, and if they did tell us, it would probably be a lot harder for them to justify their $20 DLC while the game is still in early access. Appearing as a small indie developer can play in your favor in so many ways. It lets you get away with more when you mess up, and it makes it easier to take advantage of players, which is why it is a real problem. Right after the launch of the game, Seed Sparkle Lab got called out for hundreds of fake reviews being posted on Steam. They made an announcement saying that they were not aware of what was happening, and that those fake reviews were probably done as an attack.
I actually forgot about that when we were talking about Starsand controversies earlier. But yeah, they were flooded by fake positive comments. Suspicious. And if they are backed by Kingsoft, then I wouldn't be surprised if Kingsoft would have perhaps paid for some positive reviews. They claim that it was an attack to ruin their reputation, I guess. Who would be attacking them? Maybe someone that doesn't like Kingsoft? But also, I don't know if I believe that, right? Like, why would someone be attacking Starsand Island? Like, what did you do to need to be attacked? Usually, that happens if someone did something. Not necessarily something wrong, but there would be something that happened to make someone want to review bomb a company, right? I don't know. Seems odd. I do wonder if players hadn't pointed out that all these reviews were fake, would there have ever been a statement about this supposed attack, you know? I don't know.
Implying that another company would be behind this in an attempt to raise suspicion and get the game taken down. They went on to say that making an indie game was not easy, and that they just wanted to make their game in peace. On one hand, I want to believe them and assume they have the best intentions. It is indeed very bad and unfortunate if these reviews were done by a third party, but on the other hand, just like Anime Lanuk, they lied to us on our first date. They're not quite who they're pretending to be, so why would I trust them? So here we are now, we have all of these giant tech companies trying to look cute while they're all making very similar games. All at the same time, there is no doubt they will use predatory monetization methods. None of it feels authentic, and based on how things have been so far, I'm not hopeful for what's to come. Whether you decide to play these games or not is up to you. I'll admit they look cute, which is why they're being hyped up so much. They could be fun. However, I think it's important to remain critical and notice the red flags when they're present. I will still check out those games for curiosity's sake, but personally, the more I look into them, the less I'm interested. If you're watching this video in the future and all of these games are out, let me know in the comments if this video aged well or not.
Well, we watched the whole video even though I said we wouldn't. But that's just Josh for you. Highly recommend Josh's Gaming Garden on YouTube. I do love his videos and he does his research. We do have an ad in 3 minutes. I'm trying to decide if there's anything else we could watch or if we should call it quits here. I think We're gonna call it quits.